Hello, welcome to class. Today we're talking about Chapter 19, Nutritional Supplements and Alternative Medicines. Here are our learning objectives. You've also seen these at the beginning of your module in Canvas, so I'm just going to give you a second to read them. Let's talk about nutritional imbalance. There are some common signs and symptoms. For nourishment, the human body requires food, especially vitamins, and they are not produced by the body. Vitamins are normally obtained from fluids and plants and animal products that we ingest. Some common signs and symptoms are nonspecific complaints, abnormal bone function, neurological damage, inability to build or repair tissue, a change in energy level, intellectual impairment, muscle wasting, obesity, emaciation, loss of hair, and delayed healing. Also can include common side effects of vitamins, minerals, and herbs: irritability, anorexia, headaches, flushing, indigestion, nausea, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal cramping and pain, discolored stools, insomnia, and hypertension. Nutrients might be natural, but they can still have side effects on the human body. This happens when they're introduced in large amounts, they're taken indiscriminately, or if they're interacting with other supplements or drugs. Are vitamins a source of energy? Think about that for a minute. So they are not. They have no energy value, but they are required for metabolism of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins. And vitamins are essential for energy production and regulation of metabolic processes. Therefore, they are needed for growth, development, metabolism, and the release of energy from food. They are also needed in trace amounts, and they vary in children, elderly, pregnant, and lactating women. Most American diets contain adequate vitamin amounts. And so in this case, vitamin supplementation is not necessary, and excessive consumption can actually be harmful. Where are fat-soluble vitamins stored in the body? They are stored in the liver and fatty tissues. And are water-soluble vitamins stored in the body in large amounts? No. Even a brief period of deprivation can lead to deficiencies because they are not stored in large amounts. So let's talk a little bit about patient education. Vitamin supplements can be taken in addition to dietary sources, and they can be useful during certain times. But healthy, non-smoking, non-pregnant adults do not typically need vitamin supplements. We also want to show them and teach them that overcooking vegetables can lead to vitamin loss in the vegetables. So pouring off of excess cooking water and overcooking does lead to vitamin loss because they're being cooked down, and then we're getting rid of those vitamins through pouring off the excess water and eating the cooked vegetables. Over-the-counter vitamins typically have lower vitamin content than prescription vitamins, and humans need 10 to 15 minutes of sunlight exposure per day, 3 times a week. This is because we get our normal absorption of vitamin D from sunlight. Did you know that? So vitamin A is a list here. I want to make sure that you go back and take time to really look at the tables that I'm about to go through, because I'm going to go through them quickly, and I know they're small on your screen, but they can be found in your book, and I'd like you to make sure that you go back and focus on that and take some good notes. What is the FDA pregnancy classification for vitamin A on this table? Good, it's category X. Also, it's important to note from here that the first indication of vitamin A deficiency is night blindness. Again, on this table, I want you to take time to look at table 19.2. Allied health professionals might be the first line of defense against vitamin deficiencies, or the opposite, which is the vitamin excesses. So it's important that you understand these tables and a little bit to do with the vitamins. Careful observation and record keeping during regular office visits can lead to an early diagnosis of potentially dangerous conditions. So you can diagnose early if you are being careful about your observations and you're keeping good record keeping and documenting well. So here in this table, we're looking at water-soluble vitamins. Please go back into your book and take some time to look at that. The most common condition in adults that causes a deficiency in water-soluble vitamins is alcoholism. What occurs to the water-soluble vitamins when food containing them is heated? We talked about this. The vitamins break down and dissolve in the water, so therefore we're actually washing away those vitamins when we're cooking them down. So there are more vitamins in the raw form. We're still looking at our tables here that you're going to go back and look at, especially these B and C vitamins, and make sure that you take some notes on each of those. So relate these signs to comprehensive medical histories and observation, and stress their importance in diagnosis and treatment. Can you do that? I want you to go back in, look at these tables, look at the signs, and see if in a medical history and observation, what you would say that stress their importance in diagnosis and treatment. Why is it important to understand these, and how can we diagnose? So while you're taking your notes, I want you to think about that and really look closely here at this table. So now we're on table 19.3. And this is lifestyle choices and vitamin supplements. Patients might not understand their need for supplements for certain lifestyle choices. Therefore, health professionals must be observant and educate patients. For example, we talked about alcoholism. And if you go down onto here, if your lifestyle choice is alcohol, then we might need to look at the B's and the B complex. So if you're looking at this table, just note what type of lifestyle choices and what supplements might be needed. This does not mean at all times, but it's something to be aware of and understand so that you can help your patients and patient education. So now let's talk about minerals. What happens to minerals as they are dissolved in body fluid? They exist as acids, alkaline, and salts. The dissolved minerals are called electrolytes. And we talked a little bit about electrolytes in our nutrition conversation, and we talked about Gatorade and how the sugar, there are electrolytes in there, but what happens with the sugar and how that affects your body. So minerals also are used in the body. They make vitamins to maintain blood pressure and to maintain intercellular and extracellular fluid balance. So those functions of the minerals are used in the body to do this. And that way we keep that homeostasis. Why is table salt important to the body? Do we need table salt? It's because most minerals occur as salts. So you can see here we have the acid, we have the base, and we have the salt. So it's important to remember and understand that most minerals occur as salts. So electrolytes can conduct electrical charge, form charged particles and ions. The foods should be cooked as little as possible for the briefest time because most minerals in foods occur as salts, which are soluble in water. And during cooking, the mineral leaves the food and remains in the cooking water. So we have the same issue with our minerals as we do our vitamins, and it's important to understand that. So here's a list of some major minerals. We have the calcium. What do you think some good sources of calcium might be? If you thought milk or sardines, cheese, salmon, green leafy vegetables, whole grains, you are right. What diseases might be caused by lack of calcium? Think about that for a minute. Bone deformities, rickets, osteoporosis. Did you think of any of those? Good job. Phosphorus. So fish, beef, pork, cheese, milk, legumes, carbonated beverages, processed meats, and foods prepared with phosphoric acid are all sources of phosphorus. Deficiencies could cause confusion, anemia, weakness, and bone brittleness. Magnesium. So green leafy vegetables and whole grain as well as legumes are high in magnesium, so these are good sources of magnesium. And spasms, convulsions, and diarrhea can all signify deficiencies in magnesium. So sodium. What are some excess signs of sodium? We have edema, which means the swelling, right? Hypertension, weakness. It can even cause anxiety and muscle spasms. So these are all symptoms of excess sodium. But sodium, it's important to note, does regulate body fluid and acid-base balance, and it can be found in table salt. So we talked about that in an earlier slide, that our body does need some salt. So we also have potassium and chloride. Chloride is a fluid, it buffers, it's enzyme activator and component of the gastric hydrochloric acid. So we do need chloride because it serves as that buffer and because it is an enzyme activator. I didn't mention potassium, I'm sorry. This maintains cell structure by regulating levels of intercellular fluid. It also regulates muscle function, especially our heart, that cardiac muscle. So here are some trace minerals. Iron is a trace mineral. And good sources might be lean red meat, egg yolks, legumes, raisins, prunes, and apricots. So who do you think needs more iron, men or women? If you thought women, you were correct. Some more trace minerals include zinc. This is an essential component of DNA and RNA, and fluorine and fluorides. Some indicators of zinc deficiency might be some skin lesions. You see that? And the primary source of fluoride for most people today is fluorinated water or toothpastes and rinses. A healthy person who eats a balanced diet will obtain sufficient minerals to counteract normal losses of minerals. So again, it's important to continually note that. If you are going to use mineral supplements, you need to take with care and only under physician advice, because excessive amounts could easily become toxic. And some of those signs would be hair loss, changes in blood, muscles, and blood vessels. So we have many alternative medicines out there, and the products out there are lacking scientific evidence of safety and efficiency. So some have variations in herbal preparations, And copper bracelets for arthritis would be an example that's lacking scientific evidence,